the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Good evening and welcome back once again, race fans, to Turn 3 Racing Network. Do appreciate you joining us here tonight. It's Dave and, I got my good buddy Cody up here in the production booth with me once again here tonight. We're going to get a great show underway. Cody got the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100 here at Chicagoland Speedway tonight in the RFC NEXTGEN Arkham Menards K&N Series here, sponsored by Light Electric Company. Only race number 6, Cody, and we've seen a lot of great racing action already this season.
Yeah, we have, Dave. Race number 6, 5 different winners, and we've seen something in common each race other than a new winner each week, and that is the mayhem that has happened in Turn 1 of Lap 1. These drivers tonight hopefully going to avoid that, as we have 31 drivers as of right now has hit the track here in our final round of practice before we go into qualifying. They're going to soar into turns 1 and 2. You got 18 degrees of banking in turns 1 and 2. They're going to hit that back straightaway, only 5 degrees, and a unique back straightaway here at Chicagoland. It's kind of a curved shaped backstretch. A lot of folks say you're constantly on the wheel going left here, and then they'll dive into turns 3 and 4 where you've got 18 degrees of banking, and then they'll hit the front straightaway with 11 degrees of banking all the way around the Chicagoland Speedway. Plenty of room for these guys to race, Dave, but there is a couple of really good lines. Say, for instance, back straightaway up against the wall, and in the turns around the bottom, they're going to be fighting for those spots here tonight.
Yeah, and look for it with a track like this, Cody. You've been on it a few times. I've been on it a few times. Momentum is a big factor here at this track. As you said, there's really no true straightaway or front stretch. You're constantly turning that slight little turn, even on the back stretch as well as the front stretch. So momentum is key. If you have to lift for a split moment, it's going to let drivers gain a car, if not 2, by the time you get back to the next corner. So momentum going to be key here at Chicagoland Speedway, I think, tonight. And weather's looking pretty good out there, Cody. Looks like the air temperature not too hot for the fans out there. All the fans out there in the stands, look at that. Absolutely full out here tonight. Packed house. Great to see, huh?
Yeah, it is indeed. We're about 64 degrees right now. There is a possibility, believe it or not, of some moisture rolling in a little bit later tonight. I don't know if that'll change the attack of these drivers, but the track temperature right now, temperature on the racetrack, it's about 67 degrees is what I've got. Now, this place not really known for a lot of tire wear, but the asphalt here at Chicagoland Speedway has started to kind of wear out just a little bit. And, Dave, we've been seeing some drivers struggling, especially off of Turn 4. Our points leader, Lance Yancey, we've seen that car get a little squirrely here in final round of practice. We'll keep an eye on that as the night goes on.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on that. We'll excuse me. Get our eye on this real quick. A little bit of official business. Here are your championship standings coming in to tonight's race. There you see the 77 and Lance Yancey leading his fellow drivers. Chris Medford right there in second. Katie Osmond in third. Roy Hyde, last week's race winner of the John Andretti Memorial at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, right there in the fourth spot. Tyler Hilton, great run so far this season for him. He'll round out the top 5 in points. There you'll see. We'll let it run through the points for you so you can try to find your favorite driver, see where he's at, and see what kind of point difference he has to make up here in the few next coming weeks, next coming races that we have. And Cody, we've got quite a few great ones coming up.
Yeah, we do, Dave. We've got a really good schedule for the race fans still to go. This month, we're going to be racing every Sunday night in the month of August. And I tell you, I mentioned a little bit earlier, I got one highlighted on my list. I'm ready to go to the one and only Rockingham here in a few weeks.
Yeah, Rockingham gonna be a great track, not just because of the history of the track, but it usually lends itself to some great racing action. I believe we also will be heading to North Wilkesboro. I personally think that is going to be one of the jewels of the season. Wilkesboro always great racing, just like Rockingham, Cody. So two great races coming up here in the near future for the RFC NEXTGEN Lady Electric Company ARC Menards K&N Series as we work our way through the middle season. Not quite middle season, though, is it? We haven't hit 10 races. So,
no.
I guess we're still in the beginning. Later stages of the beginning. Does that work?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. We got cars on the racetrack, Dave. Katie Osmond out on the racetrack right now. Doug Wasaki, Tyler Hilton out there trying to set fast time. Dave, if I had to go through a surprise in our practice, Katie Osmond only 23rd quickest in practice, so they've struggled with that Sundrop Chevrolet. But he's out on the racetrack right now trying to lay down a fast time.
Yeah, and we seen there for a brief moment in the happy hour, actually there until the closing last 4 or 5 minutes. Travis Pryor was the top of the speed charts there, and it was great to see him up there. Known for the late models, good to see him out there throwing down some fast laps here in the K&N cars as Katie Osmond goes to the top of the speed charts, first driver to turn in a timed lap. Steve Baker in second, Tyler Hilton third. Now Doug Wasaki goes to the top of the board with a 31.08.
Yeah, Doug Wasaki to the top. Good to see Bobby Summers back out on the racetrack in the 23 machine. Of course, he was a winner here last season at Chicagoland. He's out on the racetrack to put up his first time lap. But I'm telling you what, Dave, looking at the times, the top four, 31.08 for Doug Wasaki, and then a 10, an 11, a 12, a 14 as they all shake up as Katie Osmond goes back to the top, and he's the first driver into the 30-second range.
Yeah, first driver to drop in that 30-second range. Now Doug Wasaki completes his second timed lap, 1/10 off of Katie Osmond. So going to have to see if any of these other drivers have anything in the tank for him. Got a few drivers just beginning their time laps. The 19 of Rick Reinert back here in his Bass Pro Shop Tracker Boats ARC Menards K&N Series car. That thing looks pretty sweet. I've always been a fan of that orange. There you see him working his way off of off of turn number 2 and down into turn number 3. I hit my funny bone, and it wasn't so funny for a second, so I do apologize. Cody, take this for a second.
I got you, man. And, yeah, Rick Reiner out on the racetrack dives to the apron to take in his first lap. And I'm looking at the board. Looks like Rick Reiner going to fall in about 15th quickest. We got a new man at the top of the board, Chris Mefford. He goes a 30.81. 3/1000ths of a second quicker than Katie Osmond. And, of course, Chris Mefford second in the RFC NEXTGEN ARC Menards K&N Light Electric Company point standings. He has a win this year. He is chasing Lance Yancey, so to speak, right now. He's 5 points back. But right now, he sits currently at the top of the speed charts.
That he does. Going to watch Rick Reiner cross the line for the second time. Where's he able to go all the way up to 8th? So a good improvement, but not breaking into that sub 30-second bracket, so he'll find himself outside of the top 7. Thomas Light in the 98 slots in the 9th position. Not seeing anybody else. And speak of the devil, Travis Pryor, only driver out there on track right now, looking like he's coming around to, I believe, complete his first time lap down the backstretch this time by.
Yeah, Dave, he dives that race car into turns 3 and 4, about a half a car up going in, and then he fades down, and then he comes back out. Pryor's going to come up against the outside wall onto the apron, and he'll cross the line, and we will see will Travis Pryor hits, and it looks like he's 16th quickest on his first lap, so we'll see if he can improve on lap number 2.
Yeah, and most of these drivers have been picking up anywhere from 0.3 to almost a half a second on their second lap, so that time is right there. It's pretty competitive for a first-time lap. Going to have to keep the rear of the car underneath him. Looks like it slid out just a little bit there through 3 and 4 up near the wall. Going to cross it back down near the grass. Cross the line this time. Let's see where Pryor shakes out. Ooh, only good enough for 12th. That's a little bit of a shock for me, Cody.
It is, Dave, and as the speed he was showing in happy hour, I felt like he would have a little more than that, but maybe he's saving a little bit. Around 21 drivers went out to take quick time. That's about average of what we've been seeing, Dave. We've been seeing about 3/4 of the field taking laps. Here's something that's kind of shocking. Last week's winner, Roy Hyde, Lance Yancey, Travis Quattlebaum, and also, let's see, Damon Cox and Jeffrey Vandervoort, some of the winners already this season electing not to go out, and being in the back of the pack not necessarily been a good thing so far this season.
And you know, we've got about 10 drivers that haven't went out there for qualifying yet, still a little bit under the halfway mark now in the qualifying session. So maybe they're thinking the track may cool off here in the next minute or so. Go out there, try to put down a screaming lap. You never quite know with some of these the veterans out here, as you mentioned, like Brian Mescal Jr., Damon Cox, Lance Yancey, also one of them, Roy Hyde, Eric Blount, also not taking a time lap, Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. So all of these drivers may be playing a little bit of head games. Maybe they got something in the car they don't quite want to make everybody too worried about just yet. So, man, how's the coffee?
Exactly right. How is the coffee for about a quarter of the field? And a lot of fast cars, I feel like, are in that second group, because if you looked at the numbers coming out of happy hour, Dirty Air Racing had 3 of their drivers in the top 10 on time-wise, and I'm seeing some of those drivers not even going out for a lap. So we'll see if there's some strategy mixed in, as only 21 of our 32 drivers have took a quick time.
Yeah, and I think, you know, strategy could possibly come into play as we spoke about in pre-race and happy hour there, Cody. Momentum, very big. It somewhat races like a super speedway. When you get 3-4 cars lined up, you're going to have some very quick times. If you're able to pit with them and get off a pit road, you're going to make up a little bit of time as well. Most people wouldn't think at a place like Chicago that would come into factor, but when you got drivers at the front mixing it up and you're working together as a team, you can put some distance on some people at a big, fast track like this one here, Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, you hit a nail on the head when you said momentum. These drivers are going to be cruising around this racetrack. And I'm telling you, this is one of those racetracks where one little bobble in the wrong place can cost you half the positions that you've earned maybe on a pit strategy move. Or you're going to see these drivers, if somebody makes a wrong move in the turn, could very well end their night. And, you know, if we do get a long green flag run, once you get behind here, Dave, this is a hard place to try and make up ground simply under green flag conditions.
Yeah, I mean, your crew chief's going to have to pull the greatest fuel strategy ever for you to work your way back onto the lead lap without help from a caution here. Just because the track's just so big, the tire fall off isn't that substantial. So for you to be able to just somehow race your way all the way back around to the not going to happen, I don't think.
No, it's going to be an uphill battle. And right now, as that clock ticks away, we're under 2 minutes. So if anybody's going to take a shot, they better be getting to it. And right now, everybody looks kind of pleased where we're at. And I'm telling you, we got 2 really good drivers. Well, actually, you take a look at the top 3, Chris Medford, Katie Osmond, and Troy Radford. We got drivers that know how to win. And Dave, here's my shocking thing. We're going into race number 6, and we haven't seen Katie Osmond in victory lane this year or Troy Radford. And this is the kind of racetrack where those 2 guys seem to shine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to see who's really going to shine, though, Cody. I mean, we've had several different drivers this season already go to victory lane. I'm waiting to see who's going to put their stamp on the season and visit victory lane twice. But with all that being said, and only about a minute remaining here in qualifying, looks like Chris Medford going to take your top spot in qualifying. So we're going to step away from the mic for just a brief moment, head down trackside for the national anthem. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with your starting lineup for tonight's Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100 live here on the Turn 3 Racing Network.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what Lord so proudly railed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rackets regular, the boats bursting in out, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Always a great sight to watch those jets fly over, and always a great sight to see these cars on track, ready to go, getting ready to get things fired off here for race number 6. Woo, Cody out of breath just a little bit over here. Do apologize, folks out there. Had to run to the little boys' room, so yeah, not a lot of time to get things taken care of. We'll just leave it at that. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on before this goes south very, very fast. Cody, your starting lineup for tonight's Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100 looks a little something like this. Starting inside row number 1, your pole sitter, the 84 of Chris Medford, followed by the 88 of Katie Osmond. Row number 2, the 49 of Troy Radford, in the 83 of Brandon Medford. Row number 3, the 48 of Jimmy Hetrick, and the 34 of Doug Wasaki. Row number 4, the 1 of Dustin Ping, and the 19 of Rick Reinert. Row number 5, the 98 of Thomas Light, and the 86 of Travis Arthur.
Rolling off in row number 6, it'll be a winner earlier this year at Iowa in the 55, Steve Baker. To his outside, the 02 of Travis Pryor. Row number 7, it'll be Kendall Leveron in the number 8, Brian Snare in the 45. Row number 8, it'll be Tyler Hilton in the 82, and last year's winner here at Chicagoland, Bobby Summers in the 23. Joshua Cogdell will roll off in the number 94. To his outside, the 76 of Chuck Mobley. And in row 10, it'll be Melvin Young in the 10 machine and Gordon Larson Jr. in the 01.
There's a look back from your 21st starting position through the rest of the field. Pace car getting ready to duck off. We'll get set to fire things off for the first time here tonight at Chicagoland Speedway for the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100. Green flag is out, and Osmond is on the gas. Medford at the bottom doesn't get a good start. That sun drop machine already hunting for the front. Just to his outside, Brandon Medford trying to push his way up there as well. It's a 4-car battle for the lead off of 2 down the back stretch for the first time as they head into turn number 3.
Yeah, 2 by 2, they stack them up for 5th on back, but right now the top 4, that's where the highlight is. It's Osmond, Medford, Radford, and Medford. They are rolling towards the start-finish line to put lap 1 in, and it's Katie Osmond showing the way after lap 1.
Osmond completes the job, gets the lap led in the book early, points in hand for him. Who else can get up there and battle that sun drop machine? Cody, caution out on the track. Looks like we may have had a little bit of a moment. Looks like, oh no, the 02 of Travis Pryor backed up into the fence. We'll take a look back, see what happened here. Ooh, and it looks like just a little bit of contact, and around some cars go. Not able to see exactly who it was. We'll take one more look at this. Looks like the 34, the 86, as well as the 02 involved. The 8 of Kendall Levron gets spun to the inside. Oh, and the 72 of Jeffrey Vandervoort, I believe that's who that is in the 72. He is absolutely destroyed. He is going to have to use the fast repair if they got him, because that one, ooh boy.
Yeah, Dave, and this is exactly what we talked about in the opening. Some of these drivers decided to not take qualifying runs. They find themselves back here in the danger zone, and simple contact, it looked like Travis Arthur got into the quarter panel. I want to say got into Doug Wasaki's left rear, up into the wall. He went and he just brought Travis Pryor and about 6 other drivers with him, including Brian Mescal Jr.
Yeah, multiple drivers involved, not just with the contact, but sliding through the infield grass. Gonna be a long night for a lot of these guys. Gordon Larson Jr. involved, Jeffrey Vandervoort also involved. So some big names out there. Doug Wasaki, you already said. Brian Mescal Jr. also involved. Got about 5 or 6 other drivers on the pit road that I don't want to say were involved with it, but they were close enough to bring their machines down pit road and make sure everything's straight and still clean.
Yeah, Dave, and I'm looking at it right now. 21st on back had some kind of piece of that or some kind of involvement, whether it was involved in the crash, burn up, flat spot of the tires. And Dave, we had 21 drivers go out for qualifying laps. So that's kind of showing how important it is to at least make an attempt at getting your car into the front half of this field.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm never one of the big ones on qualifying. I believe that I like to let races come to me a lot of the times. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I find myself kind of involved in something like this where you're just kind of back there, things get a little bit out of hand, and you catch a piece of it and just kind of got to soldier on for the rest of the night. But sometimes just I think I can drive myself to the front. Maybe that's cockiness. I don't know.
Well, totally understandable. I mean, you can understand having really good equipment and feeling like, give your crew chief some time to get things going on, and you can see how it shapes out. But for some of these drivers now, Dave, this is multiple weeks. We saw this happen at Indy. You're tearing up race cars in the very first laps of the race. You're getting absolutely nowhere. And for some of these drivers, points-wise, they can't afford to finish either in the hauler or a certain amount of laps down.
Yeah, some of these drivers cannot afford bad races. No chase format here in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company Arca Menards K&N Series. So these drivers, every race counts. There are 3 provisional races where you kind of get start and park points, but you want to use those for bad races, so to speak, or races that you're not going to really have a good run. Some of those drivers electing 2 weeks back to use them at Laguna Seca. So a lot of drivers behind the 8 ball there with, they've already used some provisionals up for the season. They may not be able to do anything but run, so every race is going to matter.
Well, I'm just going to say, if I was behind the wheel, Dave, of one of these cars, I would have probably used one at Laguna Seca as well.
Oh, come on. That was a great place to get into the car, man. It was. I only completed about 2 laps and tried 57. I do thank everybody for providing the multiple cutout cars that I destroyed over there at Laguna Seca. But it was a ton of fun. It was just not productive for me and the crew, though.
Due to social distancing, thanks to Dave, Turn 3 Racing Network has no more cutout cars for the rest of the year, and I was hoping to use one at Rockingham.
Well. What do we got here?
Looks like we got the pace lights out, Dave. 6 laps in of this 100-lap feature, and they're stacking them up, getting into turns 3 and 4, ready to go at it again.
Yeah, ready to go back. Green flag racing, that's right. Pace car halfway through the turn. Going to make that left-hand turn here momentarily, and we'll drop the hammer once again here at Chicagoland Speedway. And I wonder what the fuel mileage is. We haven't spoke about that. Still very early. Still way too early to actually speak about that as the pace car finally gets out of the way. And on the gas once again, catches the field sleeping Katie. Already has about a car and a half. Now make it 2, almost 3 car length lead heading off into turn number 1.
Yeah, Katie Osmond, Chris Meffert, Troy Radford, Brandon Meffert, they're all working the bottom of the racetrack. Caution flag back out. Caution flag flies again. It looked like Bobby Summers might have been involved with this one. I'm trying to find it on our monitor.
Yeah, and it looks like you are exactly right. This latest caution coming out through the back of the field. Ooh, a lot of drivers involved in that. The 57 of Damon Cox involved, Bobby Summers involved, Michael Massengill involved. Ooh. Oh, and it looked like contact between the 4 of Michael Massengill and maybe the 57 of Damon Cox is what fired all of that off. We'll try to look one more time as we catch it just a little bit behind that initial contact. No, it was a green car. I can't tell who that was. Maybe that was the 10 of Melvin Young, yes. A little bit of contact from them, and that set off the grenade.
Yeah, the grenade for sure. And it looks like I was trying to see the in-car camera as well of Michael Masongill. I was trying to see if him and maybe Melvin Young kind of came together. No, it looks like Melvin just kind of washed up the racetrack just about 2 or 3 feet and clipped Michael Masongill's number 4. And man, oh man, Dave, this is a big track and there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, too, that we can have that this big of a track can seem to run out of space as quickly as it does.
Yeah, that is for sure. And I mean, Damon Cox, one of the ones involved, I think might have been Brian Maskell Jr. as I see Travis Arthur, Doug Wasaki, Steve Baker, all on pit road. Melvin Young's on pit road to try to get some adjustments. He shot through the grass, so I don't know how much damage is on the front of that number 10 machine, but a lot of carnage in turn 1 once again. This time it falls on lap 9.
Yeah, no, we've not to jinx us or jinx the league by any means. We've seen this happen a few times early in this season already. Multiple cautions very early, but then drivers kind of settle in, pull the reins in, so to speak, a little bit, calm down, get their heads wrapped around what the cars are doing, and we tend to see some long green flag runs, a few green flag pit stops as well at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Last week we had a double set of green flag pit stops, if my memory is correct, Cody. So maybe jitters just still here in some of these drivers' nerves. So we'll just have to wait and see if everything calms down this time, or if we continue to just have at it. And I mean, hey, either way, it's some fun action, ain't it? I mean.
Yeah, but I would not want to be on the other end of that race control microphone, because you know they were probably on there giving the spiel once again. And I feel like the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Bernard Series officials the last couple of weeks have been having to kind of lead the path, so to speak, to get these guys into the early laps and just get them going. But Dave, you were exactly right. Once these races have fired off and we've got through these early cautions, we have seen some exciting side-by-side racing. And now granted, this is only the second caution of the race, but I feel like we're starting to see that trend of about the top 5, top 6 guys, how fast they really are here in the early going.
Yeah, and I mean, to all of our viewers and fans and the friends and family that stop by, don't for any second think I'm bashing any of the drivers, any of the league admins, anything of that nature. If anybody watched the race today, I personally just listened to it on my way back from the lake. But I mean, the pros, they had over 10 cautions in their race today. So I mean, it happens. The best of them tend to have their issues, so nothing to look down upon or shake your head about. Things that just happen, and I'm sure we'll get calmed down here in a moment.
Yeah, and another factor is if you've never been behind the wheel of one of these race cars and maybe you're watching for the first time, these cars, believe it or not, they are a heavy race car. But Dave, we've seen in the past few weeks, these cars, they've made an adjustment. The series made an adjustment to the car and the handling and the setups. before this initial season got underway. And I still feel like these drivers are getting adapted to the changes. I feel like the cars are very light. The aerodynamics on the rear end of these cars the last few weeks, we've seen cars simply just get swirly on the rear end going into turns or coming off of turns. And that's kind of what we've seen so far in a couple of these accidents tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, the net code happens sometimes. You're not really touching somebody and it sends their car sideways. Not going to say that was any of the issue. I'm not sure. Wasn't in the car. Didn't get a good enough camera angle to do that. That's not my job. So, yeah, things happen. It is what it is. We'll continue on. They'll continue on. That's just what it is. It's racing. You know what I mean? You get out there with the idea of winning the race, and sometimes your race night just ends up a little bit short. And sometimes you have everything to do with it, and sometimes you have nothing to do with it. You just got to take them how they come.
Exactly right. And unlike some of the things in the world these days where everybody gets a trophy, you don't walk away with a trophy if you finish second. And these drivers all know it. But also, we're starting to see some of these drivers that we didn't see in the first three races start to rather amp up the intensity. We talked about Katie Osmond. We've talked about Troy Radford. They've had a hard start to the first part of this year. Now, Katie maybe should have went to victory lane last week at Indy. Roy and his team just simply outsmarted him fuel-wise. But we've seen some of them drivers struggle. But you take a look at the top five right now, you got some big hitters up there as we roll into turn 3, coming back to green this time, Dave.
Yeah, pace car lights finally out on that Ford Mustang. It's going to make that left-hand turn once again for the third time here tonight at Chicagoland Speedway for the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100. Will get set to fire things off once again. Will Osmond jump on the gas early, or will he bring him into the restart box a little bit longer? We'll wait and see. Field double file. Everybody looks nice and clean, ready to go once again, and on the gas, away we go. Green flag flies once again here at Chicagoland Speedway. Osmond off to a great start. Medford gonna slide down in the bottom. No, gonna stay up top now, looking for that bottom into turn 1 as Troy Radford in the 49 squeezes through on the bottom to get by the 83 of Brandon Medford, stuck out there on that outside lane. Rick Reinert rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, and everybody made it through turns 1 and 2 good. Now the battle for the lead. Chris Medford's on the back bumper of Katie Osmond. In high pursuit is Troy Radford. Top 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stretch it out, single file. You have to go back to Dustin Ping and Eric Blunt. That's the battle right now for 7th. And they're side-by-side at the line.
The side-by-side at the line, and just behind them, Jimmy Hetrick, Joshua Caudle, Tyler Hilton. They're putting on a show right now. The 82 round the outside, and that black and pink sweet-looking ride right there. Tyler Hilton takes the spot away.
Yeah, Tyler Hilton takes the spot away, and he wants more. He's all over the back bumper of that 48 machine of Jimmy Hetrick. He gets on the apron just enough, and he's going to bring that 82 car to the inside. Here comes Lance Yancey. Yancey's working to the bottom. He's going to go underneath Josh Cogdell, and he's going to pick up this 11th spot.
Yeah, battles all over the track. Looks like we've had a pass for the race lead. We'll check up front real fast. There's Chris Medford. He's got his 84 at the top of the charts, top of the track. Here comes the 88 digging back at the bottom, side by side through 3 and 4. Only a half a car between the two drivers, working their way back to the line. Looks like the advantage is going to go to the 88. Radford down there in tow, as well as Brandon Medford. Battle at the front, still not decided.
Medford, Osmond, side by side. All that's doing is bringing in the rest of the top 10. Here comes Radford, Medford, Reiner, Blight, and Blunt. They're all racing for the lead as they go towards turn 3, and they're side by side again. Medford and Osmond battling door to door going into turn 4.
Door to door for the lead, door to door for about 7th place back there. Looks like Dustin Ping, Tyler Hilton, both of those drivers battling it out right around that 7th spot. Hilton trying to get up there and battle Blount. Bring the rest of the field back up in tow. Not a lot of gap between these drivers. We see a lot of drivers mixing it up right now, but Medford starting to walk away ever so slightly on Osmond.
Yeah, starting to walk away. This time it's 3 car lengths coming out of turn 4, and then it's another car length back to Troy Radford. They dive into the tri-oval, go to the asphalt basement part of the front straightaway, and knock off lap number 18 as we race here at Chicagoland Speedway. They are 3 wide, going in for 5th spot. Rick Reiner, Dustin Ping, and Thomas Light.
3 wide coming across the stripe. My goodness, Ping, Light, and Reiner putting on a show. There you see, that just shows you just how large this track truly is. Drivers able to race all over 2 wide, 3 wide. There's space. Just got to get the cars wound up and keep them going. Reinert now trying to recover, break himself back inside the top 5 as we continue green flag racing here on lap number 19 out of the 100 scheduled in tonight's official race distance.
Yeah, the top 10 starting to kind of stretch things out, starting to go single file after all that excitement. I think they finally realized, hey, we need to put some laps in. But I'm telling you what, there's a driver on the move right now. That is Eric Blunt. He's up 19 spots here in this first green flag run. And the driver in that number 6 machine is on a mission, looking good tonight as he's now worked his way into the top 10.
That he has going to go back to the battle for the 6th and 7th spot. There you see it on your screen. Rick Reinert in the 19 has the 7th spot. 6th spot, I apologize. Thomas Light looking to the inside now, trying to take that spot away. Tyler Hilton right behind him. There you see the 6 of Eric Blount. You talked about him a moment ago. Here he is now battling almost to get himself inside the top 5. So just a few more cars, and he'll have that top 5. Going to go back through the field just a little bit. There's battles going on back here. Chuck Mobley, Brian Snare, Brian Littleton, Travis Pryor, all back here mixing it up as well. That's from about 13th all the way to 15th. So a lot of drivers still out there with a lot of positions to gain.
Yeah, Dave, and I'm getting it in my ear that our points leader, Lance Yancey, has got some major damage to the left front of that Pennzoil number 77 machine. He's been in and off of pit road. I got to look at his left front tire there just a few moments ago, Dave, and it was well up into the fender well. So our points leader, he is in some trouble. He's back on pit road. Here is lap number 22.
Yeah, so our points leader gonna have an uphill battle for the rest of the night. He's going to be looking to see some of those cautions out there. Some of these other drivers are going to be looking for it to stay green, but Lance going to need a few cautions to try to get himself back up into the lead lap, possibly being able to walk away with a top 10, top 15, top 10 win. Well, I guess it's a win if you have trouble like that, huh?
Indeed. I'm telling you what, the win is what's at stake, and they are battling it out. The top 3, we're talking about 3 of the best for the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Series. They are going at it. Katie Osmond working to the bottom of Chris Mefford coming out of turn number 4. Troy
Radford right there, right with your leaders as we've got the onboard shot there with the 49. New paint scheme out there for Troy Radford, so maybe superstition getting the best of that 49 crew, as Troy's had pretty much the paint scheme for a very long time, having some trouble early in the season, so maybe just switching things up. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to him a little bit later about that, but as you already said, these top 2 and 3 drivers mixing it up the entire time since the restart, and Brandon Medford right there in tow. He hasn't went anywhere either. He's been right there on the heels of your top 3 this entire time.
Yeah, I feel like the top 7 drivers have been pretty consistent. Oh, and contact! Steve Baker goes around. Hard contact in turn number 2. Couldn't tell if Chuck Mobley might have got into the fender well of Steve Baker, but the 3rd caution flag will fly on lap 25, and Steve Baker took a hard shot into the outside wall.
Yeah, and it looked like there was contact with that 76. There you see the onboard shot as Baker goes around. Not so much heavy contact as we may have thought. Maybe looked a lot worse than what it really was. The 76 going around as well. So Mobley with some issues and Baker with some issues. But yeah, didn't look too bad. Car still looks pretty much straight. I mean, kind of, sort of, something like it's straight.
Well, from my perspective, way over here, all that smoke and him going around, I couldn't tell what was car and what was smoke. So looked like it was a whole lot harder from my vantage point. But yeah, man, what a drive for Steve Baker to see that car take a 360 and pretty much pick up the shift and go on. So hats off to the driver, the number 55 Nig machine. Looks like he's going to bring that car to pit road now.
Yeah, and it looks like the entire field going to come down pit road. Remember, keep in mind, not just us and the fans in the stands know this, but only 5 sets of tires for these drivers through this 100-lap race. So you got to use them wisely. You can't just come down and get tires every time the yellow comes out. So gonna have to strategize the tire wear and things of that nature. So we're gonna have to keep that in mind. Most of these drivers now are gonna take a brand new set of Goodyear tires, get back out there. Hey, they might be running them Hoosiers, not quite sure. We'll check in with that. But we're going to step away, pay some bills here for just a brief moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. back track side as the Ford Mustang getting ready to make that left-hand turn will get fired. Back off once again on the gas early. Medford catches Osmond sleeping. Radford gonna slide into that second spot. Wow, that was a quick one. Waited right when the pace car got off the track surface, and away Medford went. Caught the entire field in, and myself sleeping as well.
Yeah, Dave, and the inside lane just seems to get a better restart every time we get back under green, and once again it happens as Chris Medford's out front, Troy Radford second, Brandon Medford third. Now side by side, Katie Osmond, he's trying to hang on to that third spot, but he can't do it. Brandon Medford's going to third.
Yeah, and I wonder if Osmond maybe got 4 tires, or maybe did he get just right sides? You got to keep in mind these drivers, they can offset their tires that way. They're allowed 5 rights and 5 left, so look for maybe some track position under caution, things of that nature. We haven't seen Osmond in dirty air yet either, and now it looks like that Sundrop 88 machine struggling just a little bit now that he's back behind a few cars, got a little bit more dirty air on the front end of that machine, so maybe the handling going away just a little bit, or just not to his liking just yet. But we have got a gaggle of cars, if you want to call it that. Dustin Ping, Tyler Hilton, Eric Blount, Rick Reiner, Travis Pryor. Where did he come from? All the way back up inside the top 10 after almost backing it into the fence earlier here tonight at Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, Dave, and they are racing each other harder than anybody else on the racetrack. They've spread out single file right now, but once somebody gets a run, hard Brian Snare up into the outside wall and almost pulls down in front of Steve Baker. Looks like he's going to try to gather it, but man, Brian Snare smacked the outside wall coming out of turn 4, and looks like he's going to drop back behind Brian Mescal Jr. into the 17th spot.
Yeah, lost a lot of positions, a lot of spots, a lot of time. Momentum very big here. And when you scrape the wall, it slows you down, and you've seen it just drop like a rock straight to the rear of the field, all the way back there in the 17th position. Got a lot of good drivers. He's going to have to come up and race his way around. Roy Hyde right in front of him. Brian Mescal Jr. just behind him. Back at the front of the field, Chris Medford still leading Troy Radford, but not by much there. You see Lance Yancey, your points leader. Tough sight to see down there. Pretty much broken down, running on the apron, just trying to get around. Trying to make as many laps as he can, possibly steal a few points. Tough break for our points leader here tonight.
Yeah, and they just can't seem to get that car put back together after that early incident. But I'm telling you what, a driver that's put a car together is Tyler Hilton. He's come up 10 spots. He's up to 5th right now. He's on the back bumper of Katie Osmond. As in the meantime, Brandon Medford, he is all over the back bumper of Troy Radford as they dive into turn 3. That battle for the runner-up spot has heated up the last 2 laps, and what it's done has brought Katie Osmond, if he did get those 2 tires, I was looking just a minute ago, it's brought him right back into the mix.
Yeah, and this battle has actually brought, I believe, most of your top 13, 14 drivers now all single file, all within a car length or 2 of each other. So the gaps between the entire field beginning to shorten up a little bit as we get these individual battles. Cars getting too wide, that opens up the air for a lot of the drivers behind them, as we see Osmond dig to the bottom, trying to get the spot away from Brandon Medford. Not going to do it just yet, hugging that grass. Hilton right there in tow in his 82 machine. We've got a 2-3 car battle now for that third through 5th, really.
Yeah, and I'm watching Thomas Light and Dustin Ping. They are battling side by side, and man, they have been going at it for the last 2 laps. They have been doing everything but trading paint between each other, as they've got Rick Reiner right there. He has had a solid run after a not-so-great qualifying effort. He's brought himself up and is just inside of the top 10. And then, of course, Eric Blunt and Travis Pryor there to round out the top 10.
Yeah, and we've seen Pryor and Blount. They were battling pretty heavily there a few laps ago. They straightened things out there for a minute, ran up and rode down the 19 of Rick Reiner. Now Blount trying to, a little bit of contact up the track. Goes Reiner, the 19 sliding back 2, now 3. Gonna make it 4 positions possibly, as the 80 of Brian Littleton looks to the inside right there near the grass. Reinhardt in trouble, falling back after some slight contact between himself and the 6 of Eric Blount.
Yeah, Dave, and you mentioned that in the pre-race show. Any kind of loss of momentum, and you're going to get freight trained. I know that's something we use kind of at Bristol. You know, if you get out of the groove at Bristol, you're going to be, it's like pulling out a parachute. It's a better term for it. Same thing here. This big track, you get those engines wound up. Any kind of loss in forward momentum, you lose, you're going to go backwards in a hurry, and that's exactly what happened to Rick Reinhardt as we put lap number 41 in the books.
Yeah, lap number 41 in the books here. Race leader Chris Medford continues to lead the field by just a little under 0.2 of a second. He's got Troy Radford in the 49 just behind him. Katie Osmond right there in his Sun Drop 88 machine right there in third. Brandon Medford fourth. Tyler Hilton will round out your top 5. And we have still got some battles back through the rest of the field. Travis Pryor still battling it out there with Eric Blount for that 8th position. Blount with a big move, I believe, Cody. He will be our biggest mover of the race so far, up 20 positions from the start all the way up to the 8th spot. So a heck of a job by that 6 and his crew.
Yeah, indeed. And if you've been kind of watching the season so far, you've got one driver in the top 10 that has a win this year, and that's the guy on the point right now, Chris Medford. 9 of the other top 10 drivers are still hunting for their first win of the season. And, Dave, some of these drivers, like Tyler Hilton's, hunting for their first ever career win here in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Bernard Series. As right now we got almost a move for the lead. I thought Troy Radford was going to take the lead going into 3, but he pulls back behind Medford.
Yeah, and just behind the man on screen, Eric Blount, we seen that 0-2 of Travis Pryor get a little bit wide off of turn 4. Went up there, scraped the wall. Now we've got a 3-wide battle back here behind Brian Littleton. That is Pryor, Hetrick, and Baker. All 3 wide. Baker on the bottom. Hetrick makes his way through. Gonna slide job right in front of the 0-2. Oh, my goodness. Pryor gets out of the way, not able to pull the crossover there, because Baker was right there. Almost contact between those 2 drivers. They keep it heading in the right direction. But now that 80 of Brian Littleton started deep in the field, finds himself up inside the top 10, up 14 positions from where he started. So a lot of drivers with some very good runs here as we work our way close to the halfway point here tonight.
Yeah, Dave, we talked about after happy hour, Dirty Air Racing had 3 drivers in the top 10 on time-wise. Well, after that very first incident, a lot of those drivers were pushed to the tail end of the field. But right now it is Brian Littleton who seems to be flying the flag right now for Dirty Air Racing. Of course, they come into this race number 1 in the overall team standings, just ahead of Falcon Motorsports. But Brian Littleton in that Michelob Light number 80 car is in the 9th spot and flying the flag for the current leader in the team standings, Dirty Air Racing.
Yeah, and you got to go back a few spots to find one of his teammates, Roy Hyde, back there running. We already talked about the trouble for a few of the other drivers, Lance Yancey, Brian Muskell Jr., Damon Cox, all involved in early incidents. Some of them forced behind the wall. Some of them still trying to soldier on and get what they can. But, Cody, it's still a long race. It's still nobody's race just yet, as we see a battle for the 2nd spot beginning to develop between Troy Radford and Katie Osmond. It's far from over, and a lot can still happen.
Yeah, Dave, and if you go by the pit strategy, the very first round of pit stops, they put about 26 laps on their tires. Right now, the top 8 have 21 laps on this set of tires. So interesting to see, as we're about 2 laps away from the halfway point, if we'll start to see some of those green flag pit stops take place, because you mentioned you've got 5 sets of tires. Some of these crew chiefs might be splitting those tires up, say, for instance, in quarter lengths, and then saving one for possibly maybe a last heave-ho, so to speak, to the finish.
Yeah, and I mean, this longer green flag run that we've had right here, what that does is that lets the crew chief kind of add a set of tires to his bag of tricks. Should we get a late race caution or possibly a green-white checker, they may have an extra set now because they've been able to run a little bit longer, stay on a set of tires longer, so that opens the window up for them to hold a set of tires back later for the race. So gonna bring us into some interesting strategy, that's for sure, but we all know how strategy can work out once that yellow flag comes out, and it kind of puts a stop to a lot of things.
Yeah, and right now, drivers that are inside of the top 10 have to be feeling pretty good of where they're at right now, because for the longest time, we've seen the top 10 really run together. Now, since then, we've seen Chris Mefford kind of stretch that lead. He is out 0.3 of a second out in front of Troy Radford. But I'm telling you what, if Katie Osmond only put 2 tires on that race car, it hasn't been much of a difference as far as the handling, because he has been all over the back bumper of Troy Radford now for the last 4 laps.
Yeah, and kind of looking at the timing and scoring, I'm not quite sure that's what he did. Maybe it was just the dirty air on those new tires that machine just wasn't liking, because he's pretty much been right there on pace with your race leader as far as lap time, and the pit stop time was right there. The same with the other drivers, right about a 14.5-second pit stop. So long enough to change all 4 tires and fill it up. So I think just maybe a product of where he started on that restart has got that 88 behind, but he is looking to make a pass now on Radford once again. Not going to look into turn 3, but he was right there coming off of 2.
Yeah, right there looking off of 2, and you have to be kind of wondering, you know, we're seeing the 49 kind of stay in front of Katie Osmond. That's Falcon Motorsports at 1-2. You got to be curious to think maybe he's trying to hold the Blackhawk Motorsports machine into that 3rd spot, because right now it is Falcon Motorsports 1-2 here at Chicagoland, as lap 53 is about to be, well, halfway through lap 53.
Halfway through halfway here at the halfway point on Turn 3 Racing Network.
I'm just glad we're at Chicago today.
Yeah, we're at Chicago here for you, Cody, and next week we won't be at Chicago. So we'll just go ahead and throw that out. As Osmond makes a move on Radford through the front stretch, has the inside going down into turn number 1. Radford gives him the space. Osmond looking to come up the track, not going to complete the pass. Looks like Radford going to keep the momentum wound up on that outside lane. They'll drag race down the backstretch into turn 3. Osmond still has the bottom 1.5 car lengths separate these drivers. Oh, now almost clear as Osmond. Will we see a slide job? No, Radford just going to come down, draft off of him on the front stretch here. Try to slingshot back around the outside as they head back in to turn number 1.
Yeah, back into turn number 1. It'll be Katie Osmond on the bottom. Troy Radford, I think, is going to accept the fact he got by, so he's going to tuck in behind that 88 Sundrop machine. They battle down the back straightaway. Maybe not. Here comes the momentum for Radford. Will he make a move into 3? No, he sails off into 3. Down on the bottom line, he follows the Sundrop machine, gets a lot of momentum. Almost. Man, Dave, you couldn't fit much between them as they come off of turn 4 to the front stretch.
Yeah, a lot of chances for things to go wrong right there, but fortunately for these two drivers, things going right. There you see an onboard camera high, I want to say high on the roof cam, but that's not very high, is it? Just overlooking the spoiler back at that 49 of Radford. There you see the big gap back to Brandon Medford, another gap back to the 98 of Thomas Light, Eric Blount, Tyler Hilton, Brian Littleton, all back there getting smaller and smaller for Osmond, so it's a good thing for what he sees out the front of his car. But more importantly, Chris Medford, he is enjoying his view out there at the front. Nothing in front of him as he's continued to lead the race from the restart. And man, he's not looking back. Got about a 0.6 of a second race lead here, Cody.
Yeah, and kind of flexing some muscle on this run. Of course, we've seen this before. We've seen somebody get out front, flex some muscle, and just simply run away. You know, we saw Katie Osmond do that at Indy last week. And then we've seen a little bit of pit strategy come involved for Roy Hyde to pretty much steal a win last week at Indy. So we'll see how things shape out as we've just got over that halfway point. So there's still plenty of racing to go. And right now, when you look at the lap times, Dave, that's what I was paying attention to. You look at the lap times Well, these drivers are simply, you got to go all the way back to about 18th place where we find the first driver that's actually off the 32-second range. So this entire field, even though it's spread out right now, is pretty much running similar lap times.
Yeah, and looking through the timing and scoring, it looks like we've got a driver that may have started that final green flag pit stop cycle for these drivers. They should be able to make it all the way on fuel from here. Gordon Larson Jr. brings his 01 machine down pit road. 10.9 second stop there for Gordon Larson Jr. Going to be listed as the first car 1 lap down now. He's already rejoined the track, getting up to speed. So I don't know. We may see a trend here. Here comes Tyler Hilton. He's on pit road. So maybe some of these drivers going to go ahead and come down pit road, get them 4 fresh tires, thinking this thing's going to go green to the end, as Medford now opens up a little bit bigger of a gap. 7/10 now back to your second place runner, Katie Osmond.
Yeah, Dave, and I know track position is key, but here comes Troy Radford. Radford locks up the brakes coming up at turn 4. He's onto the pit road. Now you got to be thinking, if you're Chris Medford, you're Katie Osmond, you got to be making a decision because you've got some of the heavy hitters now on pit road. They're going to have fresh tires. Dave, just how much time are you willing to give up to hang on to that track position? That's the big question.
Yeah, and we've seen the fall off be right about 2 seconds so far from the best lap to their last laps, as your race leader, Chris Medford, going to come down pit road this time. Katie Osmond going to stay out on track, reassume the race lead. 5 drivers hit pit road the last lap, so we'll wait and see what the gain is on just the 1 lap, and we'll have to wait to see if anybody rolls the dice here and plays the strategy game. There you see the 00 of Roy Hyde now inside the top 5. He got to victory lane last week at Indianapolis with a little bit of a roll of the dice. Turned out to work in his favor. So will we see some of these drivers attempt that once again, as Osmond on the apron, coming around the front stretch, trying to shorten the racetrack as much as he can, as he continues to stay out and lead the race here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, Brian Littleton, he's the latest to jump onto pit road. He's coming in from his second spot. He comes in for service, and it looks like the leaders are still starting to file in. We'll see if we get Katie Osmond to dive onto pit road this time by. Coming out of turn number 4. No, he's going to stay on the racing surface. And Katie Osmond in that sun drop machine, maybe some kind of strategy here, Dave, trying to stretch it out.
Yeah, and I actually like this strategy, Cody. I like being, well, not only the race leader, obviously everybody likes it when they're leading the race, but I've got more than half the field down a lap right now. There's only 8 drivers left on the lead lap, so I've extended this run. I've caught a lot of my competition down a lap at this point. If a caution does come out, sure, they may take the wave around, but I'm still going to have about 5 or more lap fresher tires, so I'm still going to be sitting in a good spot, no matter what, in my opinion, no matter what. So I like the strategy here by the 88 of Osmond, knowing that he's going to have the freshest tires whether a caution comes out or not, as we see Troy Radford make his way by Osmond on his fresh tires. That's going to put Radford back onto the lead lap the good old-fashioned way. But that only makes 6 drivers, and I believe 4 of them hit pit road. Now Osmond going to hit pit road this time by.
I was going to say, Dave, it looked like the top 8 were running that set of tires they had before, anywhere from 38 to 34 laps on that one set. I think with Troy Radford unlapping himself, I think Katie Osmond had to give up that lead because, Troy's going to be second place. Ultimately could be first when he comes off pit road. I just think the track position, the placement on the track, he could not afford to give up any more of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like, if my math's right here, we've got about 35, 36 laps left to go here as we cross the line. Troy Radford going to assume the race lead, going to make up a lot of time there on Osmond, and Brandon Medford, Chris Medford also make up a ton of time, but we've got around that 35 lap to go mark here. Can Radford stretch it that far? We seen him pit early, and Osmond waiting that about 38 lap mark. So Does he have enough fuel?
We'll see if he's got enough fuel, but right now the best thing for Troy Radford is a 3-second advantage. Don't really have to force the car. Simply hit your marks, put down the laps, and see what happens, because you have to go all the way back to a 3-second gap before you find Chris Mefford and Brandon Mefford. Well, Brandon would be second, Chris third, and then it's 6 seconds all the way back home. And I see some smoke right in front of Troy Radford. Not sure what happened there, but Tyler Hilton, he's 6 seconds back in the 4th spot. So right now, save your stuff. And Dave, you know, he could manage some fuel by maybe not forcing the car with that advantage, and the caution flag flies. So throw all that out the window, Dave.
Yeah, and it looks like the driver of the 6 involved in this one, heavy damage to that left rear. So we'll go back with our turn 3 replay and see what happened with Eric Blount. Ooh, and contact, it looked like, with maybe Ray Radford, the 47, involved in this one. Looks like Dustin Ping, a little bit of aftermath. Yeah, contact between the 6 of Blount and Radford, and they tussled all the way down the backstretch.
Yeah, they did. They beat and they banged all the way through the grass. And I'm telling you what, if you want to give away a almost miss award, Josh Cogdell missed that by almost, less than an inch.
Yeah, we seen him, I'll call it squirting by. I usually don't like saying squirting away from the field or squirting by, but he squirted right through there. Just enough to get by without any damage. I mean, we just talked about Blount. He was having a great race until the green flag pit cycled in, found himself back there battling it out. Yeah, chaos got the best of it right there. We'll rejoin the field back at the front as your leaders down pit road. Radford gonna lead a long train of cars, but look at this. Look who stays out and assumes the race lead once again. The 88 of Katie Osmond, and he may have put himself in a little bit of a precarious situation. Gonna have fresh tires right behind him. But, I mean, he's got, 2, maybe 3 laps on him?
Yeah, and, you know, he was going to be the one that was going to suffer the worst from that, because he was marred all the way back in 7th. He was going to have to go to pit road possibly, and still, at the best, come back out 6th or 7th, and by the way things were shaping out. So I felt like that might have been a no-brainer for the crew chief to keep that 88 car out there, because, Dave, we've seen what clean air can do. You know, Chris Mefford's got a fast car, but he's yet to really have that car stuck in dirty air. So this might just be a strategy move to make sure that 88 car has got the clean air. And, Dave, you know, he's yet to go to victory lane this year. He's 12 points out of the top spot. You know, you might just need to gamble a little to see if you can't get that car in victory lane with about 30 laps to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, gambling seems to pay off for a few of these drivers. We've heard it in post-race interviews. Just kind of took a gamble, did what other drivers weren't doing, and that's what put them in victory lane. So you can't always do what everybody else does. You can't always run where everybody else runs. We hear those old cliches and adages all the time. Do what they ain't and run where they're not, and things of that nature. So sometimes you just got to play it from the hip and do things a little bit differently. But while we work our way around the track here under caution, we're going to step away for a brief commercial break, pay a few more bills, then head back trackside for all your green flag action here at Chicagoland Speedway.
We got big-time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage.
Your car is toast. You'll need a tow back to pit lane, press and hold your reset button, and we'll come and get you.
Back at Chicagoland Speedway, coming back to the restart. Field double file pace car, ready to duck on off, and we'll get set to fire things off once again. Osmond on the gas after staying out. 6-lap older tires and pretty much the rest of the field behind him. But he gets away with a great start as Radford takes that second spot. Chris Medford right there. Brian Snare already dropping back to the fourth spot after staying out with Osmond on this latest restart. And caution, flag flies here once again at Chicagoland Speedway. Looks like the 0-2 of Travis Pryor caught up in this one. The 8 of Brian Littleton, heavy damage for him as well. So we'll take a look back here, see what happened.
Dave, I think this was a chain reaction. We look at the replay.
Oh, yeah, a lot of drivers actually involved in this one. Contact between the 55 and the 0-2. That catches up the 80. And I believe the 19 catches a piece as well. The 0-1 of Gordon Larson Jr., the 48, also catching some of that as well. So a lot of drivers involved in this latest caution here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, and I go back and I was watching that on the replay, and they stacked it up going into one. Medford got loose. Baker let off. Pryor started to let off, and just simply Littleton was there, and they were all at the bottom. And Dave, these cars don't have brake lights for the folks just joining us at home. Some driver lets off of the gas. It's not going to be noticed, and that's exactly what happened. And man, a lot of cars tore up in turn 1 and 2 this time.
Yeah, another 5 or 6 drivers caught up and involved in this latest incident here at Chicagoland Speedway. A lot of drivers that were having a good race. Brian Littleton up there inside the top 10 for the majority of the middle portion of the race. Now finds himself on pit road, I believe, having to use a fast repair or get the breaker bars out and try to beat the bejesus out of that hood and get it back down. Not sure if duct tape's going to hold that, but we'll try it anyway.
Yeah, and another driver that we had talked about earlier in the race, we talked about that, Rick Reiner had a solid really solid start to this race. He was caught up in that mess as well, and just simply nowhere to go. Stacked up, everybody fighting for the bottom of the racetrack, a little bit of contact. Baker goes around and just simply right in front of everybody. Jimmy Hetrick, one of our rookies, got caught up in that as well. Just simply nowhere to go in turns 1 and 2 here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, and it's tough to sit and watch. Some of these drivers have the issues after having such good runs, and some of them had an early issue and recovered pretty well just to find themselves kind of behind the 8 ball once again. So tough break for a lot of the drivers out here. Chicagoland claiming multiple victims here tonight. We started off tonight's race with 32 drivers, hitting the starting grid, and man, we have whittled the field on down to only about 18 drivers left on the lead lap, and some of those drivers still having some damage. Travis Pryor, Brian Littleton, two of those drivers involved in the latest incident. They're on the lead lap, but they are hurting pretty bad back through the field in 17th and 18th spot. So a lot of victims, Cody, something we're not typical of seeing here at Chicagoland, where looks like it's just been biting a few of these drivers.
Yeah, it has, and this has just been one of those incidents where about 17th on back, it's been, not to quote Kenny Loggins, but it's been a danger zone. I mean, there's just really nowhere to go. Now, that instance there happened at about 8th, 9th, and 10th, and just simply nowhere to go on these restarts. You try to get as much momentum as you can, Dave, on these restarts, because, you know, these big tracks, you have to get as much as you can get while everybody is together. We've seen everybody get spread out on that last green flag run, and that's what happens at these big tracks. So you get a little bit more of aggression, and to say the least, with coming to 23 laps to go, it's go time now for these drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's go time now, and if you thought some of the racing was close on the restarts, just wait till the end of the race gets closer. I mean, the old adage, cautions breed cautions, it's very true, it's very real, it's out there. And when it gets closer to the end of the race, when we have these cautions, that's when it really kind of shows its ugly head. But let's see, Cody, we're going to look through some of the driver channels here, see if we can't catch a word or two with your race leader. Excuse me, once again, sorry, I do apologize about that. Let's see if we can't dial up that 88 Sundrop machine of Katie Osmond up there leading field. It's Dave and Cody in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I've got you guys.
Hey, my man, how you doing? How's the car feeling?
It's feeling good. I'm a little worried here. I'm on 2 tires.
Oh, so a little bit more strategy for us to discuss about this one. We'll get to that one in a minute, but how was the car there in dirty air? I guess you already said it. You were on 2 tires, so was that the big difference on that that latest restart, just being on 2 tires?
On the late restart, I was able to get a jump because, you know, I'm the lead car. I get to choose when I go. But the dirty air is really playing a factor here, I think. On that first long run we had, I just couldn't really get a good run until I got around Troy there and had a little bit of clean air. So, yeah, I'm hoping to stay out in front here and just bring it home.
All right, my man. Well, the pace car lights are off, so we'll let you get back to the team chatter. Before we let you go, you want to give any shout-outs, thank yous, love yous, thank anybody on the side of that car?
Yep, sponsor, Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company, my teammates, thank you to my family for watching.
All right, man. Well, good luck. Elbows up. Well, Cody, 2 tires.
Yeah, and you could tell in his voice that he was going to have his hands full. But, Dave, that's kind of, you know, you mentioned it a minute ago. I didn't want you to say it, but you said it. Cautions breed cautions. So I think that team is booking on some more yellow flags to just kind of make this a short-run race.
Yeah, and I mean, if you get the short runs, it'll pan out for you. But what he may find himself in trouble with here, Cody, is if you get those short runs like that, then people are less likely to come to pit road, and he's going to be stuck on those 2 tires for the rest of this race. Pace car down and away, and Osmond nails the gas early. Hilton with a little bit of a wiggle back through the field as Osmond well ahead of the field catches Radford sleeping just a little bit. Chris Medford gonna slide on through into the 2nd spot as Radford falls to 3rd. Brandon Medford gonna be in the 4th position. Brian Snare now rounds out the top 5 after staying out a handful of laps ago. Great track position. Steve Baker, early trouble. He's up knocking on the door of that top 5 as well.
Yeah, Steve Baker's got a rear view full of Thomas Light and Tyler Hilton, and now Roy Hyde. Dave, where did he come from? Roy Hyde has driven all the way into the 8th spot, and he is battling, trying to creep towards the top 5 last week's winner, and it is a goggle of cars from 6th on back, and now we got a battle for the lead.
Yeah, battle for the race lead as I move back to watch this battle back here between the 45, the 55, the 98. All of those drivers, Steve Baker, Brian Snare, Thomas Light, Tyler Hilton, Roy Hyde, Eric Blount, all of those drivers mixing it up. Chris Medford having to deal with Osmond Radford right there, looking to go to the inside, gonna stay right behind Medford as they leave Katie Osmond out there to drive by himself. 3 cars against 1. Down there coming off of turn number 2. Now Radford, lone driver on the inside. Medford leads the field back through the center of 3 and 4.
I'm telling you, I took a deep breath there for a moment. It looked like, oh, and contact. Wow, Brandon Medford and Katie Osmond slapped door panels coming out of turn 4. I thought Troy Radford was going to make this thing a 3-wide race for the lead going into 1. He pulled back just enough. But, Dave, those 2 tires, we heard from Katie Osmond a minute ago, those 2 tires right now seem to be not the good choice for that 88 Sundrop Chevrolet.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I kind of feel responsible pulling them up here, kind of giving them the broadcaster's curse. Oh, as we see him loosen sideways. Tyler Hilton sideways behind him as well. I'm not sure who the caution was for there. Oh, my goodness, and we see cars flipping. Cars flipping and glitching. Brian Muskill Jr. involved. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, so much going on there. The PC even said, I don't know.
Brian Muskill Jr. just went for a ride. Maybe the wildest ride of the season so far. Looked like it started with Tyler Hilton, Dave.
Yeah, there was a lot of drivers involved in that one. And literally, Cody, on my end, later on we'll go over some of the recap of the race. And you'll see it did not like all the carnage. Hilton sideways, Muskill Jr. up, ended into the fence, up and over multiple times. And then everything kind of goes haywire for a second. Looks like iRacing got a little confused, didn't know what was going on itself. But we'll jump back up front with your race leader, Chris Medford, has Troy Radford in tow. And will this be the lap that we see Osmond go ahead and give up some track position and head down pit road? Cody, what do you think?
Dave, if he's going to do it, now is the time. We've got roughly 16 to go. I feel like we're going to be at around 13 laps to go. The way his car is handling, if he's going to try and salvage this race, I think you got to see that 88 to pit road this time by, because when you take a look as far as cars on the lead lap, now's the time to maybe capitalize on a chance to get those tires on the race car. And, Dave, it's not going to be much, because the drivers in front of him have about 15 laps on their tires. He's got 19 right now. It's not going to be much, but you never know. He might could catch the right brake on a restart and make up a big gain.
Yeah, and I actually wasn't sure who the caution was there. Katie, I seen him wiggle and slide through 3. He had that thing sideways, almost 45 degrees, I would probably say, to the apron. He was absolutely sideways. He saved his. Unfortunately for Hilton, he wasn't able to catch the car. Brian Muskill Jr. into him, and then you seen the carnage that ensued. So, oh, and look at this. Proves me wrong once again. Not that that's a hard thing to do, but Osmond going to stay out on track with those 2 tires.
Wow. I'm speechless at that for a couple of reasons, but number one reason I'm speechless is because of the opportunity with how many laps to go. But then again, Dave, he might be thinking simply, do I want to be back there in the center of that hurricane? I mean, right now we've seen that hurricane strike multiple times. This most recent one happened from about 7th on back. So right now, maybe just try to hang on, see if you can't get that car home in a top 5, a good points day. Because coming in, he was only 12 points out of the top spot. Lance Yancey's had a terrible evening here at Chicagoland. So the only car in front of him is Chris Medford. And if he can finish 4th, 5th, or 6th behind Medford, not going to be a bad points day for Katie Osmond.
Yeah, I mean, not going to be a bad points day for a lot of the drivers out there on track. And I'm looking through some of the timing and scoring and some of the information that we have here on the drivers and crews and teams down there on the track. And it looks like tires are not a factor for Radford. They are not a factor for your top 3. As a matter of fact, they've all only changed tires 3 times. Katie Osmond, he's only changed tires twice, and one of those was a 2-tire stop. So he's got plenty of tires, but I think he's kind of worked himself into a box here, Cody. We've only got, I believe it'll be 13 laps, make that 12 laps to go when we go back green flag racing. So he's got the tires, but unfortunately I don't think he's going to be able to come to pit road to use them from this point on in the race.
I think you're exactly right, Dave. I mean, he's pretty much made his bed now, because you pit, if we get another caution, and this is just kind of looking at the scenarios, we're going to go back green about 12 laps to go. We've rattled off, what is it, about 4 or 5 laps per caution. You're looking at 5 laps to go, maybe 4 to go. There's no way to make up the ground from that point. So I felt like if he was going to put tires on the car, this was the stop to do it. So you never know. The tire fall off hasn't been that bad, so maybe he scuffed his up just enough, but we're going to see. But one thing is he's going to be on the outside lane, Dave, and what have we saw so far in this race? The outside line has been just simply awful on these restarts.
Yeah, and I think that's more of a product of just, well, obviously the leader's been on the inside lane, but I think if we were to see the leader choose that outside lane, I think we'd see that inside lane suffer a little bit on the restart, Cody. I think it's all in these drivers just being able to control the restart of the race, and they have been catching the field sleeping. Nobody doing it at the exact timing as the driver before them, or near the time enough that the second place car on back can really react in time. So leading the racetrack position, very, very key, especially on the restarts when you can control everything. So I think that's more of a product of that than just the lane choice. We've seen a couple passes on that outside lane, but I don't know. Field's going to have their hands cut out for him to get around Medford. Medford led a few laps here, but he's got the fast 49 of Radford right behind him on this restart, Cody.
Yeah, Dave, and you got to think, Radford is hungry. We are 5 races in, this being the 6th race. He's not went to victory lane yet, has had simply an awful season so far, only 1 top 5 in 5 races. You know he's hungry, and right now he's on the outside of that number 84 of Chris Medford. They stack him up 2 by 2. Ford Mustang pace car getting ready to roll off of the racing surface. And with coming to 12 laps to go here in the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100, we are going to see a showdown, and you got what you got as the green flag is back out and we're racing at Chicagoland.
Back on the gas, your race leader Medford leads the field across the stripe. Radford with a great start on that outside lane. He's going to be right there on the rear deck lid of that 84. Osmond holding strong out there beside the 83 of Brandon Medford. Here comes Roy Hyde. Man, where did he come from? 16 spots gained in the race so far for that 00 of Roy Hyde. Eric Blount after trouble. Almost contact between the 83 and Osmond. Osmond now looking for the crossover, going to the grass on the apron. Back across the stripe, Radford now hunting for the lead as well. We've got some great battles all over this track.
Yeah, we do, Dave. In that battle for the lead right now, Troy Radford trying to reel in Chris Medford. Katie Osmond in the 4th spot, losing just a little bit of ground to 3rd spot Brandon Medford as they dive into 3 and 4. But I feel like those tires on the 88 may be coming back to him. As I say that, here comes Steve Baker, and Baker is bringing Roy Hyde with him.
Yeah, Roy Hyde has been on a tear up through the field. Eric Blount also, as we see Rick Reiner, Travis Pryor, both of those drivers with some trouble early in the race. They find themselves back inside the top 10, hunting down a few more positions. Now Radford really heating up Medford at the front. Look to the inside. Gonna stay just behind them as they work their way through turn number 3 and 4. Back across the stripe, Medford brings this long train of cars. Your top 7 all right there packed up with each other, all within 1 second of each other.
Medford showing the way, trying to be the first driver to win 2 races this year. He's got a hungry Troy Radford all over his back bumper. Radford shows momentum. He dives to the bottom. Does he have enough? No. He goes back in line as they dive into turn 3. That race for the top spot starts to heat up as they come out of turn number 4.
And as that heats up, that brings Brandon Medford into play. Osmond gonna get right back in the mix as well. Steve Baker still holding strong right there in the Navy 55 Arc Menards K&N Series car. He's got Roy Hyde just behind him. Eric Blount losing touch just a little bit. He's starting to fall to the wayside as we're halfway down the backstretch heading into turn 3. Lap 8 laps to go. I'll get it right eventually. 8 laps to go, 7 when we cross the line. Can Medford keep the field behind him? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, they're crossing the stripe now. We've got 6 laps to go here from Chicagoland. And the battle for the lead, if these drivers get side by side, let the front door be wide open for anybody inside of the top 6 right now.
And if anybody does anything here in any of these positions inside the top 6, they're going to get absolutely freight trained. As Roy Hyde looking to the inside now on Steve Baker, going to get that position, and Hyde's going to set his sights on that 88 of Osmond as Roy Hyde now cracks the top 5 for the first time here tonight in the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100 from Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, and I don't know what. Oh, and the caution's out. Caution flag flies. Travis Pryor, Brian Snare, all involved. Contact looked like going into turn 1, Dave.
And hard impact has got the front end ripped off of that 02 of Travis Pryor. We'll take a look back, see what happened here. Oh my goodness. And for some reason, it didn't like me that time. We'll try this one more time. Ooh, there you seen the crash. That was rough for a moment. Oh, 45 hard into the wall. The 02 hard into the wall as well. Rest of the field gonna make their way by, but a hard impact for both of those drivers. We'll try to take one more look at it. Missing the initial start of it, but both of those machines heavy impact. Both of them have the noses ripped off. Ooh, tough break for those two kids.
Yeah, it is. That was a hard hit for Brian Snare and Travis Pryor in turn 1. And it just simply looked like, I don't know if Pryor, and you don't want to speculate. I was trying to see the in-car camera there here in the booth. You don't want to speculate on whether he pushed up or not, but it simply got into the rear quarter panel of that 45 machine, sent it into the wall, and a hard hit for Brian Snare. And I hate to see that, Dave, because Brian was having a really good night here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, having a great run, having a great race really all night long, hadn't really been involved in anything in a night where a lot of the field has been involved in something at some point in time. Even a dominant car like Osmond, he's had some contact with a few drivers out there to the 83 and him last run there, bumped doors, a little door banging going on between those two drivers, so nobody really safe out there on track here at Chicagoland Speedway tonight in the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100. And I think, Cody, this has worked ourselves into our official and one and only attempt at a green-white checkered.
Yeah, I believe it has, Dave, and we've seen this multiple times this year as well. But here's the story that I've got for you. I felt like Troy Radford was a lot quicker on that last restart. He just simply, he didn't want to rattle the cage of Chris Mefford. He didn't really force the issue. He showed his cards a couple of times, but now you're going to have one overtime. If Troy Radford can get a good restart, just like what he did a few moments ago, Dave, I got that feeling that 49 car is wanting to win, and I don't know that he'll be so kind this go around.
Well, I don't think Troy will wreck him to win, but he might move him. Troy, very respected and respectable driver here in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company Arc Menards K&N Series. So in multiple other series as well, Troy, big part of the iRacing community, very known for his sportsmanship, I guess, is the way I would put it or word it the easiest. Doesn't really cause any issues, but he'll run the bejesus out of you for it.
Well, and I was also looking too. I didn't realize this. I should have known this, but the top 3 right now are all Falcon Motorsports. So they may just be happy to get all 3 cars to take home podiums tonight. So that could be the scenario as well. But, you know, you've got Katie Osmond, you've got Roy Hyde, who are both there to possibly spoil the party. And, you know, once we get into this overtime, all bets are off.
That it is. I was going to say that it is, and we could have ourselves a back-to-back winner here. I mean, Roy Hyde, he's come from pretty much nowhere very late in the race, up 17 positions from where he started. One of those drivers that elected not to qualify, and he has driven his way inside the top 5, gonna restart the race in that 5th position. Last week's race winner at Indianapolis. Can he be not just the first 2-time race winner this season, but can he be the first back-to-back race winner? Anything can happen here on this restart, because, I mean, it's all or nothing, basically.
Very true. Very, very true. And, of course, you talk about back-to-back winners. You talk about repeat winners. Totally different track. But Chris Mefford, a winner earlier this year at Richmond. So he's looking to possibly get his name on the win chart twice in 2020, which that's, you know, as you mentioned, hasn't happened yet. But we can tell you this, coming up next Sunday night, we'll be right back with you here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. We'll be in the sunny Florida sunshine at Homestead. Coverage right here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Coming up next week is race number 7 of the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Menard Series right here with the Turn 3 Racing Network with Dave and myself.
Yeah, and what better place to be on a Sunday night than in your living room, on your computer, on your cell phone, wherever you may be, joining us for some great racing action week in and week out here on the Turn 3 Racing Network in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Menards K&N Series. Each week these drivers put on one heck of a show, and do want to thank each and every one of you out there on the YouTube side of things checking in with us each and every time we hit the track. Big shout out to all of you friends, family, friends, viewers, comers, goers, stopper buyers, all of you. Do appreciate it each time. If you haven't already, throw these drivers a thumbs up, click subscribe, smash the bell over there on the right-hand side. Get notified anytime we go live here on the Turn 3 Racing Network, whether it's myself and Cody here on Sunday nights or any other the other guys and girls back at Turn 3 Racing Network. We do appreciate each and every time you stop by. But with all that being said, Cody Field double file pace car lights are off for the final time here tonight at Chicagoland Speedway, and we're getting set for our one and only attempt at a green-white checkered finish here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Chris Mefford, Troy Radford on the front row. Ford Mustang pace car dives onto our pit road. Here we go. Green-white checker under the lights at Chicagoland. What a restart. Side by side for Mefford and Radford. They are racing for the win going into turn 1, and now side by side for third.
Side by side all over the place. Looks like Baker gonna chop the nose of Roy Hyde off. Keep him back there in that 5th spot. Osmond digging on the outside, trying to make his way by Brandon Medford. Not going to be clear just yet. Radford, he's got some time. Can he get it done here in the last lap? Chris Medford coming off of turn 4. Going to see the white flag this time around. 1 to go here in the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100.
White flag in the air. Falcon Motorsports, 1, 2, 3. Steve Baker and Katie Osmond trying to ruin the party. But halfway down the back straightaway in the 84 machine. He was a winner at Richmond earlier this year. And for the final time in turn 3 and 4, Dave, it looks like Chris Mefford's going to pick up his 2nd win of the season.
Coming off of turn 4 for the final time, 84 across the stripe. Your race winner, Chris Medford. Troy Radford going to slide home in 3rd. In 2nd. Brandon Medford going to walk away in 3rd. Steve Baker, Katie Osmond, and Roy Hyde put on one whale of a show. Those last 2 laps, big time battles all the way back to the stripe. So heck of a finish for those drivers as well. Rick Reinert, want to give a big shout out to him and his 19. He managed to come back and steal the top 10 after some early trouble. But you said it, man. Falcon Motorsports locking out your top 3 finishing spots here from Chicagoland Speedway tonight, man. Heck of a job by them.
Yeah, indeed. As Chris Mefford slides through the grass here at Joliet, Illinois at Chicagoland Speedway. First two-time winner on the 2020 RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company ARCA Menards season, and he does so here at Chicagoland, Dave, with a dominating performance.
That he did, and we'll let you enjoy some of his celebration right there. He's got his teammates waiting at the start-finish line, but we're going to step away for a brief commercial break, get everything set up for your post-race interview. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The backtrack side post-race interviews almost completely ready. You know how I roll. You know I gotta be slow about a few things. Give my good buddy Cody some time to get down there trackside to get the interviews on, and I believe Cody's finally had a chance to catch up with the driver finishing in the third out there today.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. We have got Brandon Mefford here in the third spot. Man, what a race. I really felt like you had maybe the second best car. You just kind of got stuck in some bad situations. But after the start to the season so far, you've got to be extremely happy to bring this car home third.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Like you said, though, at the start of the season, started out with internet problems, been battling back, and honestly, to finish top 3 with my teammates here, this is pretty amazing.
Well, I know we was watching that car on the restart. You and KD were battling hard. It was at any moment was there like, hey guys, you know, I'm getting ready to launch this thing. I'm ready to go get a win. Did you feel that at all?
Yeah, you know, we work really well together right there, and especially with KD, he's been the class of the field all season. You know, we wanted to get by him first, And then after, before that last restart, I actually thought I might have been able to pull up beside Troy or Chris right there, but the cards just weren't on the table today.
Well, Brandon, you had a great finish today. I do believe maybe this is your first top 5 of the season. So before we let you go, you want to give any shout outs, any thank yous to the folks helping you out on that 83 machine?
Oh, yeah, of course. I want to thank you guys for the broadcast. I really like going back and watching them. Helps me out with what I'm doing right and wrong. I want to thank my Falcon teammates for sticking with me and helping me out. I mean, I struggle quite a bit, but they're doing a lot for me. I want to thank Thomas Light for sponsoring the race and also the series. It's really neat to have a series sponsor. And then, my family and stuff, I take a lot of time to do this. And, with school coming up with these guys, I might have to slow down a little bit. But they don't give me too much grief. They like watching it with me, and we have a good time.
Brandon Manford, 3rd spot tonight here in Chicagoland for the first time in his RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Bernard Series career. He finishes in the podium. Dave, we'll send it to you. I think you got Troy Radford, a runner-up tonight.
Yeah, finally able to catch up with the driver of that 49, walking away in the 2nd position here tonight. Troy Radford, it's Dave, man. How you doing? How you feeling after a great finish?
You can never complain too much with the second, so I'm not going to, a little disappointed that I wasn't able to get the win, but, really, really happy to see Chris take it home. And of course, Brandon right there behind. Brandon's been really fast lately, but it's had some insanely bad luck. So glad to see everybody there. And of course, then heck, everybody had a good run tonight. It was a great show all the way around.
Well, you mentioned having some bad luck, and hopefully I don't jinx you here. The first few races, you had some pretty bad luck. The last 2 races, you've had some pretty good luck. So, do you think the guys back at the shop down there in Falcon Motorsports, do you think maybe they've turned the corner here for you in the 49?
It's a combination of a couple of things. One, I have had just some horrible luck. If there was somebody wanting to do something stupid in the first 4 races, they were going to do it to me. So it was not fun. But the other thing is, after Friday night's race, we found something with the steering box on my car where I think we had an old driver in the thing or something like that was just acting up, and he really, really came to life after I deleted everything and re-downloaded. So, hopefully found a little bit of something there, because it definitely seemed to have a lot more speed than I had Friday night in our practice race. So hopefully that continues to carry over, though.
All right, my man. Well, once again, it always a pleasure to talk to you here post-race. Always a pleasure to catch up with you when we can. Congratulations on a great run here tonight in the race. Sorry, my mind went completely blank. You know how easily that happens, Troy. You know how that happens. But anyways, great job out there walking away with the 2nd spot. Before we let you go, would you like to give any shout-outs, thank yous, love you, thank anybody on the side of that car?
Oh, absolutely. So the first one, and this is just a big one for us, of course, Thomas Light stepping up with the sponsorship tonight. Disaster Relief Food Ministry, definitely a big one, especially with everything that's been going on lately. Really glad to see that one out. It's kind of a new sponsor for us as far as what's going on in the races. But thank you, Thomas, for doing that. Of course, the whole Falcon Motorsports team, with personally in my car with Lucky Finn Project, National Kidney Foundation, evidence-based-mommy.com, and there is a hyphen in there. And just really everybody out there. We, a couple of cautions early, but some really great racing there in the middle of the run. So, I think with some of the stuff that we've gone through in the last few weeks, you're going to see some really awesome racing coming out of this series here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we see some great racing action week in and week out, man. And I know how you and the rest of the guys run things over there, so I'm sure everything's going to get taken care of, no harm, no foul sort of thing. So we do appreciate you taking some time after the race to speak to us here tonight, Troy. Our hats off to you, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Well, there you have it. Some few final words from the driver finishing in the 2nd spot here tonight in the Disaster Relief Food Ministry 100. And I believe that has allowed my good buddy Cody, he's finally ran his way all the way to victory lane to catch up with our race winner.
Dave, I have. We're in Gatorade Victory Lane, and today he scored his 4th career pole award. And for the 2nd time this season, for the 2nd time in his career, it is Chris Medford in the 84 Riley Children's Health Indiana University Health Machine in Victory Lane. Congratulations, Chris, a 2-time winner in the 2020 season.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. As I was telling Brandon and Troy, this field tonight was absolutely stout. We was looking, I think within like 2 or 3 tenths, you go from first to third to 20th on qualifying. So this field was just absolutely stout tonight.
Man, we saw you and KD just simply racing. I mean, battling it out the first part of the event. Then you had Troy in the rearview mirror, and there I thought for a few laps maybe Troy was going to try to force the issue and try to get out front, but you was able to hold them all off. I felt like once this 84 machine found clean air, man, you had yourself a rocket ship tonight.
Oh yeah, the boys at the shop definitely put a good piece together. This thing was fast off the get-go. Like I said, KD, I love racing this KD. You know you're always going to get a good clean race with KD. As for Troy was, I think we had about the same car. We was just as fast as each other. We like to race each other hard and clean, and he gave me some room. I just don't think he could get a run off the corner to get to me. But I think if he got in front, I'd be doing the exact same thing he would be doing, just kind of almost pushing me.
Well, man, you had some tough luck last week at Indy. You lost the points lead. Lance Yancey has tough luck tonight. I feel like you're going to go back to the point standings as we head next week to Homestead. I don't know. I don't think we do a drivers standings as far as who's hot right now. But if we were doing that, I feel like this 84 machine would be at the top of the chart when it comes to the hot drivers right now in the series. And for the 2nd time this year, man, you're in victory lane.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's so many good drivers that race in this series. Like I was saying, Troy, KD, Lance, Tyler, all my teammates. Doug had a solid qualifying effort in 6th. Just had some bad luck. Steve, just a bunch of guys is just crazy fast. It just feels good to be able to race against them guys without having any contact. Beat them straight up. So, but this one feels pretty good.
Well, man, before we let you go, I know you got a lot of folk on the side of that race car you want to talk about. Tell us about them.
Yep. So my main sponsor is Riley Children's Hospital, Race for Riley. I said last week was the John Andrade Memorial Race. Obviously, he was a big, I don't know if he's the founder, but he was a big supporter of the Race for Riley. I know his son Jarrett still runs it or supports it. Race for Riley has always been huge. Riley's been huge. My niece had open heart surgery, I believe, before she's 1, maybe 2 years old. She had a hole in her heart, and she actually got basically a 4-wheeler roll over on her arm about a month and a half ago, and it actually punctured her arm. Her bone pumped out. So they took care of her. She was in there for about 3 weeks. So Riley's always been good, and it's always one of the top hospitals in the world. All the hospitals do what they do. I know they're struggling now with this COVID stuff. So praise to every single hospital and everybody that's taking precaution, taking care of people. Especially in this dangerous world we live in now. Everybody from Falcon Motorsports. I mean, we've been practicing. We've been trying to get things tuned up, and I feel like we're really hitting something right now. Troy said Troy was trying to run. My brother Brandon, it's one of his best runs here, and he was just telling me how fun it was to race KD, because like I said, KD will race you clean no matter where it's at. Either it's road course, even he'd probably race you clean on a demolition derby. Tyler was fun, good. Tom had some troubles, and said Douglas had a heck of a run going on. Just had a misfortune.
Well, Chris, man, we appreciate you spending time with us. Congratulations. Get with the team and celebrate this win. For his 25th career start, he picks up his 2nd career win and a 2nd win in the 2020 season. Congratulations to Chris Medford and, of course, the entire team at Falcon Motorsports for a sweep of the podium.
Yeah, sweeping the podium here today, Falcon Motorsports. That's going to do some wonders for them in that hunt for the team championship. Going to make up a little bit of ground on that Dirty Air stable, as their drivers had some issues. But, yeah, Cody, not much left for us to do here from the track. We'll run through your finishing order here briefly. Any side notes, anything you want to mention before we get into that? I'm I'm pretty just at a loss for words. Great race all night long, and great finish as well. And yeah, just another good one in the books.
Yeah, Dave, I totally agree with you. And I will say this, if this is the way that this Falcon Motorsports team is going to start performing week in and week out, these teams are going to have to go to the drawing board because they have got some of the strongest rides we've seen on the racetrack all year.
Yeah, that they absolutely they came to play tonight. That's what they did. They absolutely came to play, and they showed up for sure. And at the end of the race, it absolutely showed up. So with all that being said, we'll move into some of the official business once again on the end of things here in the Turn 3 Racing Network. Your finishing order looks a little something like this, walking away with the race win. The 84 of Chris Medford. His teammate Troy Radford going to slot in second. Brandon Medford in the 83 also out of that Falcon Motorsports stable, going to finish in third. Steve Baker in the 55 going to finish fourth. Fifth place will go to Katie Osmond, while Roy Hyde in his 00 comes home in sixth. Seventh place will be the 98 of Thomas Light. Rick Reinert going to finish in eighth. Ninth will go to the 6 of Eric Blount. And rounding out your top 10 will be the 80 of Brian Littleton.
Travis Arthur hangs on for an 11th place finish tonight in his 86 machine. Rookie Jimmy Hetrick came in 12th in the 48 car. Melvin Young, another rookie on the season, in the number 10 was 13th. Josh Cogdill came in 14th in his 94 machine. And rounding out the lead lap cars, Ray Radford in his 47 rounded out the top 15. Brian Mescal Jr. rallied back to be only one lap down in the 16th spot. Doug Wasaki, who had trouble early in the race, 5 laps down, came home 17th. Bobby Summers in the 23 machine was 18th. Travis Pryor in the 02 rallied back for 19th. And Brian Snare rounds out the top 10 in his 45 machine.
Finishing in finishing in the 21st position, Gordon Larson Jr. in his 01. Chuck Mobley gonna walk away in 22nd. The 82 of Tyler Hilton after a big time issue, not able to save the car. Unfortunately, too damaged to continue on. Gonna finish 12 laps down in the 23rd spot. Adam Novak in his 44 machine will walk away 24th, while Lance Yancey, your points leader coming into tonight's race. Tough break for him. He's going to walk away with 25th. Damon Cox going to walk away in 26th in the 57 machine, while the 4 of Michael Massengill going to walk away in 27th. 28th position will be the 1 of Dustin Ping, and Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. will finish in 29th. 30th will be the 5 of Brian Britt. Kendall Levron going to walk away in 31st. And rounding out the field after early trouble here today on lap number 1, as a matter of fact, the 72 of Jeffrey Vandervoort going to walk away in the final spot of the race. Tough break for one of our race winners, but nonetheless, things like that happen. That's why we got to stick around to the last lap. And once again, Cody, it's been a pleasure to have you up here in the booth with me. To each of you fans, friends, family stopping by on YouTube, we do appreciate you each and every time when you come by. And man, Cody, until I see you next week, my man, live it up, have fun, stay safe, stay loved. To all the fans, you do the same. We'll catch up with you one more time next Sunday night here on the Turn 3 Racing Network.